Imagine waking up tomorrow, going to work, working 8 hours, coming home exhausted, and realizing something terrifying. You worked an entire day, but your net worth didn't grow at all. Not $1. Because the money you earned today was already spoken for. Rent, car payment, insurance, credit cards, groceries, subscriptions you forgot about, taxes that disappeared before your paycheck even hit your bank account. For millions of people in America, this is the reality. They earn money, but they never actually build wealth. And when you look at the numbers, the statistics are shocking. The average person works for 40 years, but retires with barely enough to survive. The average household makes tens of thousands of dollars a year, but has almost no savings. The average worker spends their entire life earning money, yet somehow ends up financially fragile. So the question isn't just, why are people struggling? The real question is far more uncomfortable. How can someone work their entire life and still end up broke? To understand that, we have to look at the numbers. And once you see them, you can't unsee them. Most people grow up believing a very simple formula. Study hard, get a good job, work consistently, save a little, and eventually, everything will work out. That belief has been repeated for generations. Parents tell their kids, schools reinforce it, employers depend on it, and on the surface, it sounds logical. After all, if someone earns $60,000 a year and works for 40 years, that's $2.4 million earned in a lifetime. $2.4 million. That sounds like plenty of money. More than enough to build a comfortable life. More than enough to retire safely. But here's where the story starts to fall apart. Because when researchers look at what the average person actually has saved, the numbers look very different. Let's look at some uncomfortable numbers. The average American retirement savings is often reported around $65,000 to $90,000, depending on age groups. That's after decades of work. Let that sink in. Someone can earn millions of dollars over a lifetime and retire with less than the price of a modest car. Another statistic, nearly 60% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. Even many people earning six-figure salaries, which means if their income stopped tomorrow, their lifestyle would collapse within months. And here's another one that surprises people. The average car payment in America is over $700 per month. $700. That's $8,400 a year. Over 10 years, that's $84,000 spent on vehicles that are constantly losing value. But the most shocking stat might be this. A huge percentage of Americans cannot cover a $1,000 emergency without going into debt. Not because they're lazy, not because they never worked, but because the system quietly drains their income faster than they realize. And that leads to a deeper question. If people are working harder than ever, why are the numbers still so bad? There are two powerful forces working together. The system and human psychology. First, the system. When someone earns $60,000 a year, they don't actually keep $60,000. Taxes take a large chunk immediately. Federal tax, state tax, payroll tax, Social Security, Medicare. Before the money even reaches your bank account, a large portion is already gone. Then come the fixed expenses, housing, transportation, insurance, healthcare, food. And over time, something subtle happens. Your lifestyle grows with your income. This is called lifestyle inflation. When someone earns $40,000, they survive. When they earn $70,000, they upgrade. Better apartment, newer car, more subscriptions, nicer vacations. But here's the trap. Expenses grow almost as fast as income. So even when salaries increase, financial freedom stays just out of reach. And psychology makes it worse. Humans are wired for short-term comfort, not long-term planning. A new phone today feels good. Investing that money for retirement feels abstract. So the brain chooses what feels good now, over and over again, for decades, until suddenly, retirement is 10 years away, and the numbers don't add up. Let's look at a simple example. Meet David. David is 30 years old. He earns $70,000 a year. On paper, he's doing well. But here's how his money actually flows. After taxes, his take-home income drops to around $52,000. His rent is $1,600 per month. That's $19,200 per year. His car payment is $650 per month. Insurance adds another $150 per month. Gas and maintenance average $200 per month. Suddenly, transportation alone costs nearly $12,000 per year. Add groceries, utilities, phone bill, internet, streaming services, student loan payments, a few dinners out, a vacation once a year. By the end of the year, David saved about $2,000. $2,000. At that rate, it would take him 50 years to save $100,000. And that's assuming no emergencies, no layoffs, no medical bills. This is not an extreme example. This is normal. And that's the real problem. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people don't have an income problem. They have a money flow problem. Money passes through their lives, but it never stays long enough to grow. Think of it like pouring water into a bucket with holes in it. You can pour faster. You can pour more. But if the holes remain, the bucket never fills. Higher income alone doesn't fix the problem. In fact, many high earners experience something worse. They upgrade their lifestyle so much that they become high-income poor, rich on paper, broke in reality, which raises an important question. If this is how the average person lives, what do financially smart people do differently? The difference isn't intelligence. And it isn't luck. It's structure. Smart money decisions happen before the paycheck is spent. For example, instead of saving what's left over, they invest first. If someone earns $5,000 per month, they might immediately send $800 to investments. Not later. Not if convenient. Immediately. They also avoid the biggest wealth killers. Overpriced cars. Lifestyle inflation. Endless consumer upgrades. Instead, they focus on assets, things that grow, stocks, index funds, businesses, real estate, because here's a powerful number. If someone invests $500 per month for 30 years with average market returns, they could end up with over $500,000. That's not magic. That's math. And the earlier it starts, the more powerful it becomes. But most people discover this too late. After decades of spending, after decades of working, after decades of assuming everything would somehow work out. The shocking truth about money isn't that people are irresponsible. It's that the system quietly makes average financial outcomes look normal. Living paycheck to paycheck becomes normal. Car debt becomes normal. Having almost no retirement savings becomes normal. But normal doesn't mean safe. Normal doesn't mean secure. And normal definitely doesn't lead to financial freedom. The good news? You don't have to be extraordinary to escape the statistics. You just have to stop following the average path. Because the average financial path leads exactly where the statistics say it does. And once you understand that, you can choose differently. If you want clear explanations about money, investing, and how the financial system actually works, subscribe to the channel. Not for hype. Not for get-rich-quick promises, but for clarity. Because the more you understand how money really moves, the harder it becomes for the system to quietly take it from you. And the sooner you stop becoming another statistic and start becoming the exception.